Hello and welcome to Fat Man in a Cheap Sim, and this is appropriately titled Disaster at Dragon Trail. It is race B of this week's multiplayer races on GT Sport, and I got pole position in the Lamborghini, and it has in the Hurricane, I think it is, and in a 138.5 to get that pole position, and it looked like everything was going to go really well. I had a few races, all of which were absolutely disastrous, this one being one of them. Now the first lap seemed to go okay. I managed to pull out about seconds lead, and as I came to the end of the first sector, things were looking reasonable. And that remained so. I managed to get the S's here reasonably well, and the Lamborghini, which is not a car I would normally drive to be fair, was going quite well. It's certainly tricky, you've got to watch it as it goes into bends and brake quite precisely. Some people recommend using the rearward, the +2 on the brake balance. I think I was actually using a -2 because it did oversteer an awful lot, but actually that may have gone against me. And here of course is the horrendous, it's the chicane of death, that's right. Now the first time I just tapped that barrier a little bit and I went slightly wide, it just upset the car enough and I didn't have a very good exit. And along we go to get to the end, the penultimate corner of lap 1, and already you can see, and I go quite wide there, which was not good, and I have basically allowed the remaining cars in second and third and onwards to catch right up. And as we come on to finish lap 1 and into lap 2, the Aston Martin is right there. He goes over to the left, I give him space, he just cuts across, and all of a sudden, no apparent reason, I've got a penalty, a 1 second penalty. I managed to come out of the chicane reasonably well, but the Aston has got inside me there and I've really had to give him the space. The Toyota is very, very quick along with the Alpha. I'm right behind the Aston. There's a tiny wee touch there, but nothing to worry about. But of course there is the penalty line, and that means that I have to take the 1 second penalty straight away, and I'm already going to go right the way down to 5th place. So, can I catch up? Well, that was now the mission. There was a Porsche, there was a Toyota, and they were all pretty much equally competent, you could say. They were pretty competitive. And so I was just trying to get back into the slipstream and see how we go. We come down the hill into the tight right-hander, braking just as we come into the curbs, down into second gear. The Lamborghini was quite good around that corner, it drifted a little bit wide, but once you got used to it, it was reasonable. Then into the chicane of death for the second time. What would happen? Could we manage to get through here without any incidents? It was dodgy, pretty dodgy, not a great exit there, but I don't think the Porsche had it even, I think he also was quite slow, but just managing to keep in touch with the cars ahead. In the meantime, the McLaren in 6th place is also beginning to catch up. So we're coming to finish lap 2 with this Alfa Romeo that went very, very wide coming out of the second last corner, completing lap 2, and it's all steady with it. It's still in position 5, with 3rd and 4th just a fraction ahead. So we'll come into the chicane, can I get my braking right? Seems to be okay for the left, then into the right, and up into the small straight, then through the left-hander again. So yes, that was reasonable, and now we're really beginning to catch up with the crowd in front. There's not much in it. Usually you can make up a place here and there. So I get out of the chicane again, out of the sharp right, complete the first sector, trying to do a low 33 if possible, but struggling a little bit. I think my best time is a 33.3 for the first sector. Now I'm right up behind the 911, who hasn't done well going through the S's, and up over the hill, and then we get to the peak of the hill, and then we get to the other side, and it looks like I can maybe just about pull off a move, although I went a little bit wide. I should have tried to stay in the slipstream there. So we're just a fraction behind. You've got the Alpha, the Porsche, then the Lamborghini. Here we come, through, coming up to the chicane of death. I come out to give them a little look, but I probably should have just stayed in there. Into the right, then the left. Missing the wall, thankfully, this time. Holding it on to the left, and goes reasonably well, and the Porsche has a bad exit, so I managed to get out, but I still didn't do a very good exit myself. The Toyota, in the meantime, behind us, done an incredible exit and overtakes both of us as we come into the penultimate corner, I'm on the right, he's on the left. I take a terrible bit of dust and dirt and I just tap the Porsche, but thankfully nothing more than that. Didn't do any harm, and off we go to complete lap 3 as we go across the start-finish line. So I'm still in 5th place, which is a pity. I was hopefully trying to get up into 3rd, and that was certainly a possibility. So I'm coming into the big chicane and I just get my braking a little bit too late and run a bit wide, and that's me lost another place into 6th position. It's going to be like Super GT here, finishing in 6th, or can we make up any places at all on the last lap? Coming through the right-hander into the next tight right, which is actually a really good corner, quite like that, very satisfying if you can get a good exit on those curves and try and get a good first sector. Then into the S's, coming around here, again a very tricky bit as to when to brake, roughly maybe doing about 100-110 kilometers, but I go a little bit wide there, and when you're trying to turn right it's quite tricky, but we just managed to keep it on the track and then up towards the top of the hill, but we're still a good bit away of 5th place. And if we come down into the right-hander, this is where we begin. We can make up a little bit of time, and of course through the death chicane. It's not too bad through there, and both 5th place and the McLaren and the Porsche are closing up, so there's not much in it at all, and in fact even in 4th place is not too bad. Through the death chicane, relatively cleanly, not too bad. The Porsche's at a poor exit. The Alpha, I think, it looks like the Alpha, it was a green Alpha, or was it? No, it's the McLaren and the Porsche are absolutely side by side, coming into the penultimate corner. I'm right there with the Porsche, but he's just holding out enough. I maybe should have gone further in. I'm right behind him. I come out in the slipstream. Can I get a place there? But no, they're just going to manage it. 4th, 5th and 6th. So it is indeed a 6th place finish for me on the first ever video that I recorded with my Elgato streaming HD 60S. I hope you enjoyed it. We actually won a couple of races, which was quite good on Monday night. Of course, you can catch me live on our live stream on a Monday night at 9 o'clock, which is Fat Man in a Cheap Sim on YouTube. But thanks very much for watching. I'll speak to you soon.